Hello and welcome to the Womxn Show. I'm Lanina Rasool, and today we are speaking about women coming together for social development, social justice and healing. After the break, we are going to be speaking to organizers and members of the Sacred Unity Circle, a movement that is bringing women together for development, justice and healing. But before that, we are going to hear from the co-founder, Kelly Collier, about what the movement is about and the upcoming event, the Matriarch March. Let's have a look.
The Sacred Unity Circle is a voluntary community group, and we are aiming towards a vision of building bridges. The group is made up of women, voluntary women who are representative of different communities across the Cape Flats, northern suburbs, really across the peninsula. And the concept is based on the fact that we have common issues that we experience in our communities, common issues that we experience within our own personal developments. And the Sacred Unity Circle was created. The inception was around how do we create spaces for women to have the conversations and offer opportunities for learning from each other, for offering your skills, and for taking those energies back into our communities where it's most needed. We host what is called a High Priestess Circle, which then offers a focus on specific topics such as rites of passage. We also focus on enriching community by the way of offering cultural programs where we explore the arts and different aspects of the arts. So really just also bringing in the space of self-expression and development, and how that fits into how one is able to then activate your ability to give back into community by giving back to yourself. We are really excited about our second annual Matriarch March, which takes place at Princess Flay, which is in Grassy Park on the Cape Flats. And I'm from Grassy Park originally, so there's a deep connection for me personally, but also for many people. And so the physical process of the Matriarch March was a walk, which started at Sunrise Circle in Muizenberg, and then we walk along Prince George Drive, which takes us through various communities that were formed under the Group Areas Act. All of those communities which we know are still living with complete social disorder. The issues that we face in these different communities are the same kind of issues, and the only way that we can actually effectively shift them has many different levels to it, in as much as we need to physically have the programs and have the kind of supportive structures physically in our communities to deal with the issues that are very much rife there. We also need to spiritually reach out to each other and be unified in being able to overcome these challenges. And if we are to overcome them, there needs to be a unified approach.
Shine our light, shine our light, shine our light, shine our light, yeah, shine our light. There we go. Shine our light, shine our light.
So our Matriarch March, please come and join us. We will start with our registration at 7:30 until 8 a.m. at Sunrise Circle, and then we proceed with our walk along Prince George Drive, which should conclude at Princess Flay around 10:15. And Princess Flay, we will then have a brief break until we gather again for our formal celebration, Matriarch March Unity Celebration and Gathering. We will have the sharing of poets, singers. We'll have our groups presenting and performing and telling us more about who they are and what they do. We'll have our healing hub. We have a story hub. It's going to be amazing. And please come and join us. The Unity Gathering will start from 11 and conclude at 3 p.m. Beautiful music, beautiful people, good energy. Please come and join us. We'd love to have you there. Blessings.
That was Kelly Collier, the co-founder of the Sacred Unity Circle. We are going to take a short break, but we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. You're still watching The Womxn Show, and we're having such an exciting conversation today, which is centering really about the power of women coming together, the need for women to create safe spaces to come together, and also to be in community for healing and a lot of other things. And so we are speaking to members of the Sacred Unity Circle, and with me in studio is Penny Perrin, who is an organizer within the Sacred Unity Circle movement and also a teacher and life coach. Hi, Penny.
Hi. Hello.
And also Puzna Joyce Bekwa, who is also a member of the Sacred Unity Circle and the Western Cape chairperson of Amanina, an organization that works with gender-based violence. So ladies, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm so excited about this. You know, women in community is such a powerful space. We know this. Penny, I want to start with you because you work directly on organizing, bringing the women together, organizing some of the activities. Can you tell us a bit more about the Sacred Unity Circle and also how you came to be part of this movement?
So the Sacred Unity Circle was founded to primarily bring women together from the diverse social areas within Cape Town so that we can cross the divides and just focus on issues that are important to women and girls and children in the Western Cape and learn from each other. I think that's been one of the biggest things. Yes. Is meeting women together that we might not meet in other circumstances. And how I joined, I used to teach with Kelly. And Kelly Collier is the founder of Sacred Unity Circle, and she invited me to join the circle.
Perfect, lovely. And Puzna, I also want to ask you the same question. Yes. You know, I want to add in there, can you also just tell us a little bit about Amanina, which is an organization, and yourself and the organization integrated into the movement, became part of the Sacred Unity Circle. So can you tell us a bit about that? And then also what brought you into the circle?
Wow. Thank you so much. I met the lady called Nakolo. I think she's very close to Kelly. And then I last year on March, they had an event that was, we were having the March for Human Rights. That was 21 of March. And then we joined, it was our first meeting with them. It was so excited to see the woman all over the country. And then immediately after that, we joined their event. And then that's where the circle was practically practiced, where we were sharing our different backgrounds. And there were also the coach and the motivators that were around. And then it was so nice. Yes, that's how we joined them.
Oh, lovely. And that march you're talking about was the Matriarch March. And so, we know before the break when Kelly was speaking in the video, she mentioned that we're going into March again. So we've got the Matriarch March coming back. And so, Penny, maybe you can tell us a bit about that event. Is this the second one?
It is the second one of hopefully an annual event. It's a very exciting and empowering and positive way of bringing women together to hold space in honor of the need for protection for women and girls. I think we've all got so involved in this idea of the fight against gender-based violence. It's almost the love against gender-based violence as opposed to a fight. So instead of, we did that march in the city years ago. There was that
total shutdown.
Yeah. And this is almost the exact opposite. It's a celebration of everything that makes women beautiful and strong, and part of that is our unity. And so we come together at Musenberg at Sunrise Beach, and then we walk together along Prince George Drive, past some of the most harshly affected communities in Cape Town. And then we end at Princess Flay, that also holds a huge amount of significance locally. And then we have a big gathering and a celebration. And this year's theme is Create Your Life. And it's, we've invited community groups to bring together what they do positively to bring strength and joy and power and healing to their communities.
I love the description that you just gave, and even the comparison to the total shutdown. And we know that the total shutdown was necessary. And we know that it was born out of the frustration of not enough being done for gender-based violence. We know that activism sometimes is and sometimes needs to be a very aggressive space in order to move something forward, you know, and we know that what the total shutdown achieved was visibility within government, and there are new policies, and there are, you know, just new, they speak about resource allocation, and so it moved it on that level. But it's a hard, difficult space to be in. And I think that women sit with a lot of the difficulty is aggression and anger and so forth. So I love that you brought in this aspect of we also need spaces for love and for affirmation and for validation and for softness. I saw a video the other day, actually on Instagram, where this woman said, I am choosing to be soft in a world that really can make you very hard, and where hardness often is necessary. I'm choosing to be soft. And so I want to ask, why do you think it's important? And maybe this is for both of you, and you can go one after the other. It's like, why do you think it's important to create these kinds of spaces for women?
Yeah, I think for us, it's for the movement. As much as we do have the challenges, we need to move on and make sure, and we are focusing on the positive sides. Even the platform, if you can see there's a nice music, there's a nice poems, dance. As much as we have all challenges, but again, we need to look up and make sure that we uplift ourselves, because we need each other, and move on a positive side and not focusing on the negative side around women, because they are so nice, positive, good, love, many beautiful things around women.
I love that. Penny?
That's it. As women, we are beautiful, and we deserve, as much as we deserve basic human rights and to be safe, we deserve to have joy and laughter and love and beauty in our lives as well. So that's a huge part of my work. I've seen in my teaching and in my coaching, there's a lot of, and as a mother, there's a lot of righteous anger. And I reached a point personally and professionally where watching women and girls marinate in that anger and fear was just as tragic as some of the things that I was seeing being perpetrated against them by other people. And so I think that's where a lot of the work I do comes out of a space of, yes, we have to fight that fight, but we also have to preserve what keeps us whole and happy and healthy at the same time, and that balance.
I want to ask, so there is, sometimes we find there is backlash. Okay, I think we're seeing it a lot now. Backlash about women creating spaces for women only, and the Sacred Unity Circle is a space for women only. And so I don't want to really go into the politics of that backlash, but I do want to ask, especially with working with women and girls, and I've always said it's important to have safe spaces. So we want to create spaces of safety. There are some very unique challenges that women struggle with, unique and intersectional challenges that women struggle with. So, Puzna, I wanted to ask, because you work in the community and directly with gender-based violence, what is the importance of creating women, and you know, other women also, other organizations who deal with gender-based violence, What kind of safe spaces do women need in order, I think, to be able to debrief and to connect with each other around specific topics?
Come again, exactly. I want to hear what is.
Yes. So the importance, like, what kind of issues would you say are very sensitive? So in your collaboration, you said your collective that you do, and you guys work with gender-based violence. Um, what kind of issues could you give as an example that it's important for women to speak about in a woman-only sort of context and community?
Yeah. For us as a Manina, as much as we're working with women and also we have the platform of women, we also accommodate men in between because we created a platform where we'll make sure that we group the people in the cooperatives teams so that they can be able to generate their income themselves so that women, they are not independent on men. As you know, the past, that if you remember on the older days, it was only the men that must go to work, and then women must be independent to the men. And then as Amanina, we decided even we change the whole mindset and make sure that now women, we need to empower them on to become a business people and make sure that they run their businesses and their grow the South African economic. They must be involved in a way that they have their businesses. I'll make an example as Amanina. We do have women that are trained to make cheese, trained to make a jam, etc. And we have a cooperative on that. Even today, some of them, they are at a community hall with Department of Agriculture, where they are registered their businesses, cooperative companies. That's another way. We are not only focusing on it spiritually, but make sure that they run and generate the income for themselves.
I love that. Can I ask you, just within that space, and in that space of women's development, what are some of the challenges that you face, that female entrepreneurs face? And then, Kelly and I were on the phone last night, and we were just speaking about like funding as one issue. Funding for organizations, for movements like the Sacred Unity Circle, and I'm always throwing out the statistic, that women of color, that female entrepreneurs of color are the fastest growing demographic right now, but only have access to like 2% of venture funding, which is quite interesting.
Yes.
What are some of the challenges that you face in terms of women and development?
Yes, the support, it's really a challenge because when we started to group them, we thought that it would be easy for them to pay the registration fee, to even sometimes when we do have the event, will be just easy for us to go to Musenberg. But you'll find out that people, as much they are interested, they want to spend more time with us. They want to contribute when we do the collection of the fundraising, even to buy the product. If you can look at this present moment, our women were trained by October. It was October, November, December. We thought that our product will be already sealed. And now we delay because it's difficult for us to have the ingredients. And we suffer a lot. And then therefore, we decided to make sure that at least one woman contribute 100 rand. It's even not easy. It takes us time. Therefore, we need to make sure that we change the dates of the product and we communicate with the people that were supposed to test their product, because we have an agreement with CPUT to make sure that they will make sure that our products are on the shelves, our cheese, our yogurt, jam and peanut butter, etc. But because of the funding, a lack of the money, we don't have money, to be honest. It's really a challenge. And then again, we don't even get support, even if we write the letters to the business people. We struggle a lot. We do write the letters. We do try to make where we sell the old clothes, the what they call that, when we bring the clothing together, so that people they can buy. People they don't have money, we still, especially after the COVID, because the impact of the COVID, it's still a challenge. It's where people they lose their jobs, they lose their businesses. They're not, but we make sure that we create. That's why we do have this platform, because we always encouraging other women that will be successful. Slowly by surely we'll get there.
And those are tough challenges. A lot of it is logistical, you're speaking about. But it's admirable, and I understand also then the Sacred Unity Circle. You know, you're speaking about logistics and traveling, but I remember when I attended the event last year, also just with the transport and how that was, and people needed to leave. And can I just say, nobody wanted to leave. You know, no one wanted to leave, and the driver was outside and just saying, like, you can't afford to wait any longer. We need to go. And so I, you know, with that disclaimer that I also, you know, attended the event with the Sacred Unity Circle last year, and that's what I sort of want to go into, Penny, is just to ask, you occupy, okay, before we speak about the events, which are great, I want to say you occupy such a unique space, you were saying earlier, as a teacher and as a life coach. And in that, insights that you've picked up from women and girls, so you've picked up righteous anger or some of the things that you mentioned. You speak about building a movement around love. And I believe love is also a form of activism. We need that, otherwise we could be destroyed by the anger. What are some of the challenges that you see? So when you speak about anger, what are some of the challenges that you see women and girls possibly are experiencing that prompts the need for a space like the Sacred Unity Circle?
Well, I can.
Big question. There's so much.
The first thing I can definitely address is the rising rage in me listening to the challenges that you face. Firstly, this internalized sense of poverty consciousness that so many people in our country have been raised in and with, and learning to see outside of that wealth is available. And then also the blocks against accessing it. The business world is very much still an old boys club, and breaking into that as women is very challenging. So where the Sacred Unity Circle comes in is that we build our own networks. If people aren't going to do it for us, we will do it together, standing side by side. And that's, I think, one of the biggest causes that we try to bring to all of our events.
And so it's not just sort of uniting around issues and so forth, but there's also a development access to the sacred, aspect to the Sacred Unity Circle, and that is building a network toward development.
So that's why we focus so much on bringing different women's groups together at all of our events, and especially at the Matriarch March. It was amazing last year. I don't know if you found the Healing Hub hidden under the milkwood tree.
I wasn't at the Matriarch March, but
it was. It was women from all these different groups sitting under this tree, learning and experiencing and meeting each other in a very informal setting, and then taking those connections out of that setting and supporting each other.
Oh wow! I mean, that sounds really amazing, and it just shows also. Again, we are speaking about the power of women coming together. Ladies, we need to take a short break, but we will be back with more after this. Welcome back. You're still watching The Womxn Show, and we are speaking about the power of women coming together. And we are speaking about that through a movement called the Sacred Unity Circle that brings women together. And still with me in studio is Penny Pennon, who is a teacher, a life coach, and one of the organizers within the Sacred Unity Circle, and also Pozna Joyce Bekwa, who is a member of the Sacred Unity Circle and chairperson of a local NGO, chairperson of the Western Cape office of an organization called Amanina that works with gender-based violence and also economic development. And so Penny and Pozna, I want to ask also, so before the break, I was saying that I had been to not the Matriarch March, but one of the events that was hosted last year where a lot of the women came together. We sat in a beautiful circle, and it was interesting. There was a lot of like healing practices in there. There was the use of art. There was the use of sound. There was, if I can remember, like all of it, stretches, just even right up until the food that was served, which was a soup and bread. There was just like a really holistic and spiritual and healing feel to it. And so, Penny, I just wanted to ask, about sort of, those events, some context for that. So outside of the Matriarch March, there are also these events that bring women together. It's got a very spiritual aspect to it, a huge emphasis, I think, toward healing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So those are our High Priestess events, and those are organized. So firstly, we start with the circle because we're trying to break out of that patriarchal hierarchy of organizational management and structure. So we all sit together in one circle. We're all literally in this together as women. And we focus on bringing healthy, natural, empowering modalities that women might not have access to or might not always know about. And we have people who bring and share those into the circle, and they're still part of the circle. So even our facilitators and people bringing the offerings are held within that space. And then, we bring from singing, dancing. The food we serve is nourishing and natural. And it really is about empowering and strengthening the priestess in every woman, honoring the sacred spiritual in all of us.
I want to ask about the terminology and the language, because I have to say, so matriarch, obviously we love this term matriarch, it speaks to women, it speaks to power. I mean, for me, it feels ancestral. When we think about matriarchs, I'm thinking about all my grandmothers, my living ancestors, and also those who have come before me. So it sort of brings that thread with it. And then this invitation comes through and it says High Priestess. And that's got a little bit of a different feel to it, right? We also know that this terminology, that a lot of terminology around culture, a lot of cultural terminology has been used inappropriately over the years, right? Has been misrepresented. I always think about like the term witches, for instance, which I think is being reclaimed, right? So through children's stories, the word witch has been associated with someone that's bad, but actually, historically, a witch was not a bad person. A witch was a healer. Can you tell us a bit more about the terminology in terms of matriarch, in terms of high priestess? Just, I think, more context about, are we reconnecting in that way? Is it a bit ancestral? Is it a bit indigenous? Or
I know that sitting in a lot of our planning circles, I've learned so much. Growing up in the 80s in Pretoria as a little white girl, I was very cut off from most of the country. So to hear these women, share their matriarch stories and the stories of grandmothers and mothers and practices and wisdom that I had no idea existed. And I think that's partly why my own personal interest in the circle, because I've grown so much. And it is that most of us in the organizing core group have hit our matriarch years, and are stepping into that power. We're not the girls anymore. We've done with a lot of the hard graft of mothering, and now we're coming. So that's where the matriarch march aspect comes from. And the high priestess circle, I wasn't part of naming that. That was Kelly and Carmel brought that. And I think that comes a lot out of their culture. They bring a lot of the Rastafarian terminology and language. So we have, it's really becoming such a beautiful mix of people bringing what they bring to the circle, and then we adopt it appropriately as we can.
Yeah.
As you say, it can be quite a minefield.
Yeah, just to sort of think about it, and I think just to hear it immediately. And Pusna, what about you in terms of the space, which is very spiritual, which feels very ancestral. We're speaking about matriarchs, and we're speaking about culture and the history of culture and wisdom. How does that sit with you and land with you?
I think it's nice. And also, when you are around a circle, you learn to respect many people in different ways, different areas of life, because there's an ancestors one, a Rastafari's one, a religion ones, and then even the young girls of today, of which they are also learning. But the most thing about me is the sense of belonging as a woman, sense of belonging, because of our background, some of us, we missed the opportunity of knowing the direction. And there, when you hear all this background, you just felt you belong here, because these are the women and these are different people with different challenges. And again, what is important is to move forward. Immediately you discover all these challenges, all this background, but the one common sense of love together, the unity, the oneness, that's where you get the identity and be able to move on.
I love this. You were speaking also about, I mean, if we think about it, I think, what is it this year? Is it 30 years since apartheid ended? And what you're talking about, what you're alluding to a little bit is we are still structurally very segregated. So from a logistical area specific way, we are still structured, and so Ubuntu becomes difficult in that way. And again, Kelly was really speaking about bringing women together in a way also from different areas, from different religions, from different cultures. You said we because of our background, we miss the opportunity of knowing direction.
Yes.
In this coming together, yes, there are many different people with different backgrounds, but do you find also lots of similarities across culture? Lots of things that are the same. I do the Womxn Show. What was very fascinating for me in the beginning, for instance, was that gender-based violence knows no demographic. It almost becomes a unifying factor. You put a bunch of women together, doesn't matter what their backgrounds is and where they come from and how much money they have and where they grew up, you will find your stories of violence. And I don't want to focus on violence for this question, but I want to just say, in the coming together, in the Ubuntu, do you also find, as women, the similarities? What kinds of things do you find that also connect us?
I can speak. At last year, I was in tears in our healing hub, because we have one facilitator who runs a red tent process, and she did a womb meditation for us. And we all sat together, the Rainbow Nation represented, and did this womb meditation. And every single woman had a very deep and profound reaction.
Oh, wow.
So it's such a cliche. On the outside, we might have all looked different and maybe sounded different, but we all connected to that experience as women in that moment of connecting to our wombs and the experiences that we've shared. And And another one that I've come across is just academics. Across the board, whether you're at the wealthiest private school in the country or in a circle under a tree, there's definite prejudice against female students. So
Oh, wow.
academically, we face a bigger challenge as well. And that is shared across the board, that girls have to fight that much harder for their place academically.
That's really interesting. That needs its own show. That needs its own episode, right? We need to have an episode about like how hard women are fighting to be in this like academic space. From girls to. Let me not go into this episode now. Okay. I want to ask from the Sacred Unity Circle. So when we think about that, they are like all of there's all of these aspects. There's this belonging. There's the unity. There's the power of together. Also towards building a network out for, I'm assuming, greater economic development and so forth. What are the aims of the Sacred Unity Circle? Like, where do you hope that this will go? How do you hope that this will grow? I think speaking to audiences, speaking to women out there,
Yes.
What is the greater aim?
Continued economic empowerment and liberation of women from disadvantaged communities. I know we're not going to harp on the gender-based violence, but one of the biggest hindrances of getting away from a perpetrator is financial responsibility on them.
Yes.
So that's a very big cause of ours. Growing in celebrating women locally, but also nationally and internationally. Celebrating the divine feminine in everybody, actually, and create, and education. Bringing education to women and girls around their rights, around their health, around their strengths. What would you?
Yes. I think the way forward is ongoing education. And then, as we see as Amanina also together, we also give them the skill development where they cheese, and of which especially Black women were not exposed to make sure that their product are on shelves, formally at Quick Spa, ShopRite, and Settler, and Central, and whereby your product will be labeled by your name. It's also a part of empowering education. And again, we also have the platform whereby we give them the leadership skills. To make sure that they stand firm and understand their position as women, as human rights, to take a stand and move forward. We give them the roles of the chairpersons generally. It's not because we are in the cooperative, but we offer that platform to all community people to make sure that we give them the writing skills, basic writing skills, with the services that are available in the library community walls. And then they go and type and they become powerful, because before they were closet and we thought that you are a woman, you cannot be doing this. But today we give them those basic skills and they're very happy and they are very powerful. But together as women, ongoing education on daily basis, building the character, is to make sure that their confidence, self-esteem is strong day by day.
I love this. I was going to actually, then that was my next question was going to go into. And I think, Penny, you also resonate with this being a life coach. Is like one of the things that always comes up when we speak about economic development or progress for women, if we speak about careers, if we speak about, change, shifting, moving upward in any way, imposter syndrome. So specifically, low confidence, low self-esteem. Right, and so I am particularly fascinated by, yes, we have all of these articles and we are on the website, and we often say we have a lot of memes that say, be girl boss, and just do this and just do that, but none of that is sufficient to really grab reach in and look at the core of why we feel unworthy, of why we're afraid that maybe we can't do these things. And I wanted to ask about the power of, what you call belonging as a tool to help people with self-esteem and confidence. Penny, do you want to go first?
I do. So I'm
Sorry, and can I just say, just imagine everybody out there sitting and they want to do something great in their life and they're just like struggling with confidence and self-esteem.
I think I have found so much strength in the circles of women that I belong to. The encouragement, the self-belief, the love, the generosity has all come from those circles. I'm not saying it's a woman-specific thing, but that's where it has come from. I'm raising a daughter who's in a tertiary science faculty in a very male-dominated sphere, and she's being told things by her male peers like she's only one of the top students in the class because she's trading sexual favors.
She's been told that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I give the same advice to women everywhere that I give to her. Find your circle of sisters and hold on tight. Because that's where your sense of belonging and strength and affirmation, if it has to come from an external source, that's where it will come from. Building your own inner sense of self-worth and self-belief, that's an ongoing journey that we're all, every day do we have a right to be at the table.
I love that. And is that something that you also deal with, Pusna, when you dealing with women, when we're trying to come up with economic development, when we, do you have to be a life coach all the time and just help them to keep going, especially when the challenges and the obstacles come up?
Yes. Whenever I deal with the women, I think another thing that helps us is to be creative. Not only the life coach, but to be a facilitator. Make sure, again, you also bring on the role plays of the past and what you wish to and the way forward. And then what are the challenges that we're facing now and how can we move on? And then we're not always doing on a formal way by teaching, but also make sure that we do the role plays. We even sometimes do the puppet shows.
I love that.
Yes, the puppet shows, because we're different with different people that are not in the same platform, same level of understanding when you want to across the message. Therefore, it needs you to be, as a life coach or as a facilitator, to be flexible and make sure that you reach all the women that are down there, because most of them, because of the past, the confidence and the self-esteem, it's very low, and we need to pull them up so that they can be able to stand for themselves.
And I think, some of the stuff that comes out often when we're looking at history and we're looking at the history of oppression, specifically in South Africa. And so when I read memoirs or I read autobiographies, almost every woman of color will say their parents' greatest aspiration for them was to become, Oprah herself says, her grandmother's greatest aspiration for her was to become a domestic worker. So it was to become a nurse, was to become a teacher, was to become like whatever was only allowed for them.
Nurse, teacher, secretary.
So women, nurse, teacher, secretary. And so we've got to, and that's internalized, right? And so I love that you're speaking about creativity, because some of the stuff that I'm busy now is, and I find it really hard to do, is to imagine ourselves. We have to imagine ourselves in bigger spaces, because it hasn't been modeled for us, right?
One of my favorite questions as a solutions-focused coach is the miracle question. So imagine yourself, you wake up tomorrow morning and all these things that you want to achieve, you have achieved them already. And then go into an intense descriptive visualization of that, and then work backwards from there. And that is possible for any girl. I've done it with girls as young as 14, 15, women as old as 65. Like, That's
Wow.
hold the vision
Wow, that's powerful.
and work backwards from there.
I'm a bit of a nutcase. I have anxiety when I imagine getting everything I want. But that, again, I think is probably an episode for another day because fear of success is real. Let me just say to people, fear of success is really real. Ladies, that's all we have time for. I want to say thank you so much for coming on to the Womxn Show, for having this great conversation, for inspiring all our viewers if you're feeling the same way that I am right now. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
Thank you. Thank you to you. Thank you to you to give us this platform. It's a great platform.
And we'll see you on the 21st.
Yes. And that we have to take a short break, but we'll be back with more after this. Now we are almost at the end of our hour together, but before we go, we are going to have a look at a short video from last year's Matriarch March that we covered to show you what you can look forward to. Let's have a look.
Well done, well done, well done. Each and every one of you, your footsteps walked that path and you came now to what is called Princess Play. So there's a story to this play, which is the story of our heritage, which belongs to us. It's the story of the land. And we're going to have a very special storyteller who's going to come and tell us that story.
First, let's salute you for taking that walk. From where did you walk? From
Sunrise!
Musical till Princess Play. Come on, queens, give it up for yourselves.
Women must now bring the missing element of fire and holy communion with thee, reclaiming the matriarch, taking up place, space, and voice. Only then can the whole of humanity truly rejoice. Thank you, Mama Elizabeth Kelly.
We are broken in our souls, broken souls, broken souls. Don't let go of yourself.
And yet, we ask, does our color mean right? And our black mean wrong? But what I know, you can call black in many ways. You can describe it in bloodiness. But as a black woman, we are strong for your words. We are brave. And we are the rock that doesn't break. And black stand for who we are. Black stand for our roots and our koikois. Black, it's me, it's you, it's us. Black is beautiful. And a black woman is beautiful.
This is about access to information, because access is power, and the power is in the relationships. So we need to wake up and build our relationships so that we can access the power that we have. Because we have it, we're just not using it. Much love, peace, and respect, and we hope to see you again next year. Blessed love. Hey, to you! Love, love, love all around.
That was some footage from the Matriarch March last year that was hosted by the Sacred Unity Circle. And that is all we have for today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ladina Rasool. Goodbye.